We're coming on the air with breaking news about the recent FBI search of former President Donald Trump's Florida estate. The affidavit that was used to obtain the search warrant has just been publicly released. A judge yesterday ruled it must be made public. And just now, the government filed a redacted copy of that affidavit. So there's still a lot of information in it that will remain hidden, as it could reveal sources and hamper the Justice Department's investigation. But there is a lot that it does reveal about why the FBI felt they needed to do the search. I want to go right now to Ken Dilanian, NBC News justice correspondent. Ken, you've had a few minutes to go through this and try to read around the redactions. What are some of the early takeaways?
Good afternoon, Lester. Well, the first takeaway comes not from the affidavit itself, but from the 13-page memorandum of law that the DOJ filed to the judge to justify why they had to redact certain key information. And they talk about witnesses. And there's a crucial line in here that it said that the witness information needs to remain sealed to protect the safety and privacy of a significant number of civilian witnesses. Now, that's significant because there's been a lot of reporting about a single informant, a confidential human source. What this shows is that there was no one particular source that was crucial to the FBI determining probable cause in this case. They're saying there are a significant number of civilian witnesses whose identities they need to protect. And then I have to tell you, Lester, most of the information in which the FBI agent lays out the probable cause, the really juicy stuff, explaining the legal justification for the search, is completely blacked out. This page really tells the tale. There's a line here that says there is probable cause to believe that documents containing classified NDA, that's national defense information, and presidential records remain at the premises. But obviously, they're not telling us what that is. But what they do tell us, and what we do learn from what's not redacted here, Lester, is more details about just how highly classified some of this information that they found in January in Mar-a-Lago is. So if you'll recall, Trump and his lawyers turned over 15 boxes of records to the National Archives, and they found classified information in those boxes. What this document now says is the FBI found 184 unique documents bearing classification markings, including 67 documents marked as confidential, 92 marked secret, and 25 marked top secret. But beyond that, Lester, there were markings that denote some of the most sensitive information in the government. One is called HCS, Human Control System. That's a designation for a report by a CIA officer or other human source collector of an interview with a confidential source overseas, in other words, a spy. These documents are so sensitive, they are never found outside a special facility to house classified information. They generally don't leave the agency itself, but they are sometimes handed to a president in a very highly classified intelligence briefing as an example of the kind of intelligence that he sees in his daily briefing. Sometimes the briefers want to tell him exactly where it came from, and they would hand him this kind of document. We're also seeing the designation ORCON for originator control. That means the agency issuing the report controls who sees the document. No foreign, which means intelligence that is so sensitive it can't be shared with foreign nationals. Even our closest allies, the British or the Australians, can't be shared. And FISA, which refers to the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act, and SI, which refers to signals intelligence. That's the fruits of communications intercept. So very, very highly classified documents that were found in these 15 boxes that were turned over to the National Archives, which, as we know, prompted the archives to refer the matter to the Justice Department, which then launched a criminal investigation, which led many months later to them to seek this warrant. And now we have the FBI, or at least a partial version of the FBI agent's justification to the judge for why he sought this search warrant.
And Ken, I'm looking through it just very quickly here. Lots of references to the location of this. Is Donald Trump or others who might be suspects in this, are they named?
No, not that I can see here. Not at all. We don't see that. But to your point, there's an interesting paragraph on page 29 amid all these a sea of black ink and redactions that talks about the location of documents. And we already know from the search warrant that they searched the president's office and some other areas, the former president's office at Mar-a-Lago. This says specifically, based on this investigation, I believe that the storage room, F. POTUS's residential suite, that's F. POTUS, former president of the United States, Pine Hall, the 45 office, and other spaces within the premises are not currently authorized locations for the storage of classified information, or NDI, National Defense Information. So essentially, this suggests this is where we believe some of these classified documents have been stored. Obviously, these are not secure locations, and it's very significant that they use the term NDI because one of the statutes implicated here is the Espionage Act, Lester, and the Espionage Act was written before the modern classification system. So it doesn't require technically that the information was classified, but it requires that it's national defense information, which most classified information is. And so the FBI agent here is suggesting that what's implicated here is national defense information pursuant to the Espionage Act.
Okay. Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.